Stocks our strategists feel are poised to deliver positive returns are featured now in their top stock picks of the week.
Hey everybody, Dave Bartosiak here with Kevin Cook, and we've got your top stock picks of the week. What do I have? Can't stop, won't stop, GameStop. That's right, people. Your favorite meme stock is back in the news again. And a couple things I want to point out on this is first, this is a Zacks ranked number one strong buy right now. Okay. Technically, it's in the gaming industry. You know, they have those brick and mortar locations inside of malls and such. They've started to transition a little bit away from just video games. So now they sell like collectibles. So you think like Pokemon cards and little stuff like that, right? But look at these detailed estimates. Now, we're still not in growth mode. So if you see current year revenue, it's going to contract 11%. Next year, it looks like it's going to contract another 13%. But on the EPS side, it's pretty stagnant. But look at what's happened recently is that estimates have gone from 18 cents for the current year to 47. Next year from 13 to 47. So what gives? What's going on over there in the world of GameStop? Well, they've sort of made a transition, got rid of all of their long-term debt, and then they came out sort of leaner and meaner, making a couple bucks. And then Ryan Cohen now has famously made the transition to where they allowed Bitcoin on their balance sheets. So now they're starting to do the MSTR thing where they're raising debt, convertible notes, you go ahead and buying Bitcoin. So this changes everything. And I'm looking at the chart here, and you got kind of the meme mania. Remember, this was the original meme stop that went absolutely nuts. If you haven't seen Dumb Money, you should go check it out. It was a fun movie, at the very least. But now, all that's sort of behind us. Speculation is gone. And now it's all about Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin has changed a little bit. And this is a whole nother video. And maybe I'll do this later in the week, where it's starting to become less of that risk asset and more of that sort of digital gold anti-fiat currency play, which is why you're seeing it. Here we are on Monday, April 21st. Gold is going crazy. Bitcoin's rocking and rolling, and the whole market is under pressure. So something just to point out here from a technical standpoint. So red line is my 200-day. This blue line is the 50-day. Is that Bitcoin? GameStop, thanks to Bitcoin, has been tracking above both of those key technical levels. I'd be looking for this to take out those highs ahead of its last earnings report. So 29.80 sort of in the short term. And if it can do that, then it's definitely broken through this sort of downward trend channel that it's been in. So lots of fun stuff happening over there at GameStop. So that's why I'm naming it my top stock pick of the week. Mr. Kevin Cook, what do you have for us, my friend?
Hey, Kevin Cook here, and I've got my orders of magnitude hat on because we're going to talk about Nvidia, Huawei, and everything exponential from teraflops, petaflops, and exaflops. Let's go. Okay, here was a special report I did for my Taser members on Saturday, April 19th, about artificial superintelligence. We've been talking about artificial general intelligence. Well, there's a lot of talk from a lot of experts, including Eric Schmidt, former chief of Google, who thinks artificial superintelligence is about 5 years around the corner. So in this special report, I had 5 topics: Taiwan semiconductor earnings, why Nvidia doesn't sell GPUs anymore, the China battle and the rise of Huawei, the magic of silicon photonics, and then some stuff from Eric Schmidt. So let me just scroll down here because I'm going to show you some good stuff in here. Oh, this was a graphic I made back in February where I tried to explain why I think we're already in the 5th industrial revolution. So, and if you want a copy of this report, just email me, kcook@zacks.com, and I'll send it to you. So my sense is that let's call the digital age, internet age, 1995 to 2020, and look at the flood of innovation we had. And there's also convergence and multiplier effects, right? It's not just some of the parts, it's a multiplication of the parts when you start combining these technologies, broadband, Internet of Things, and eventually GPUs. And then something happened in the late 2010s, and we see it being fulfilled now with Jensen Huang's Nvidia, is this tremendous acceleration of intelligence and capability, across science, engineering, and business. You could say like in 2017, we had, AlphaGo cracking the game of Go, and then DeepStack cracking the game of Texas Hold'em, which, these are highly complex games. So that's when it hit me that AI was going to do incredible things, especially with massively parallel architectures, GPU clusters that Jensen creates. So that's why I say. So if you want to see that graphic, just let me know. All right, so let's get down to my topics. Taiwan semi earnings were good. So why do I say Nvidia doesn't sell GPUs anymore? Well, the way that these chips are evolving, say that, let's just talk about the Blackwell, not even yet to Rumen, is that they're not processing graphics anymore. They're just processing terabytes of data, trillion parameter models. And so it's not about graphics. We evolved from the gaming GPU, but now these chips do so much more. And Jensen, tried to really communicate at GTC in March that NVIDIA is not a hardware company anymore either. So he says that NVIDIA is a foundation company or a foundational infrastructure company because it's what the rest of the world needs to build on across the sciences, across engineering, robotics, automation. He's providing the power tools so that enterprises, universities, research labs can build their own AI factories to get stuff done. All right, now let's get to Huawei, because this is really the big news. Last week, we learned, well, let me back up a second here. 2 weeks ago, Jensen goes down to Mar-a-Lago and Trump says he can sell H20s to China. H20 is the special lower power GPU chip that NVIDIA designed specifically to sell to China. It's a scaled down, so we can export to China. So we thought we were all good a couple weeks ago. Then last week, we find out that no, you can't sell the H20s to China. You need a special license. So right away, and Jensen has, respects Trump and likes to work with him. He's like, okay, fine. And word was that they're going to take a write down of at least $5.5 billion for Q1 next year. A lot of analysts say it's going to be more. So while we're talking about that, we should look at the estimates. I mean, Nvidia, I'm doing Nvidia here as my top pick because the stock is on sale. We're trading under 20 times EPS. It's still Zach's ranked number 2, but that's probably going to slip, because if we scroll down here on the detailed estimates page, we can see that EPS for this year is it's not headed steadily upwards anymore. So it could be stalling, from a high of 441 down to 432 EPS. And, there's going to be some back and forth there because of the write-downs that NVIDIA will take for not being able to sell these H20s that they made special. Nobody else wants those H20s. NVIDIA is going to have to basically scrap them. Okay. All right. So that was the first deal with China, the first, sort of tremor of the trade war here. Now, okay, so what's Huawei going to do? Well, they haven't been sitting around waiting for this, waiting to get their H20s or whatever other H100s they can find on the black market, and they've been building their own. So what came out last week was that Huawei's got a new supercomputer that could rival the state-of-the-art Nvidia GB200 NVLink 72. Okay, so we'll look at what this new server is. It's called Cloud Matrix. Huawei AI Cloud Matrix 384. It has 384 GPUs in this massive server. Basically, I call it a supercomputer. And then you're going to hear a lot today. You're already hearing it all over Twitter about that. Huawei can also sell these individual chips that are. There's a 910C, which is a combination of 910Bs, and we'll get into that. But let's first make sure we understand what NVIDIA's top of the line product is here, the GB200 NVLink 72. All right, so look at this tower. Now this tower is several feet tall, probably taller than me, and but it packs a lot. Let's look at what it packs in. So it's got 36 Grace CPUs and then 72 Blackwell GPUs. And so every Grace CPU has 2 Blackwell GPUs. And it's just really state of the art for an enterprise or research lab to buy one of these. It cost about $3 million. So, very big hyperscalers or research labs are going to buy more than one. Oh, and here was the big deal about performance, right? It's going to 30x NVIDIA H100 Tensor Core GPU systems, 4x on training, 25 times energy efficiency, and 18 times what a CPU base can do. All right, I want to show you an analyst on Twitter. Semi-Analysis is the name of the company, and that's how you find him on X. This is Dylan Patel, and he is super good on NVIDIA. One thing I want to show you is some of the details I got here were from him, and I didn't even give him credit. I didn't even mention his name, and so that's an oversight on my part because I was just scrambling to get this report out on Saturday. All right, so let's look at his breakdown of the Huawei Cluster Matrix 384. Okay, I think I'm in this thread here. Yeah, this was from April 18th. I recommend you go look at this thread. So I just showed you the top, basically the server rack, all inclusive, that has the 72 Grace Blackwell super chips in it. This is how big Huawei has to make their cloud matrix supercomputer just to compete with Nvidia. I mean, what here? We got 12 vertical racks, and then these are the main scale up networking racks. But so basically, every one of these squares has got 8 GPUs in it. So 4 of these, that's 32 times 6 is 192 plus another 192 over here. That's how you get to 384. Okay. The issue is that for China to compete with their own GPU, they have to put 5 times as more together, right? So it's Nvidia can do it with 72. This is 384. It's about almost 5 times more just to do it, and it's not energy efficient. So that's one of the themes you're going to hear. But then maybe China doesn't care because they've got they've got more nuclear power plants running than we do, I think. So those are some of the things you're going to hear. It doesn't mean that I'm not presenting this as a threat to Nvidia. I'm saying you want to buy Nvidia today. It's gapped down again, trading $95. I think if you don't have a position in Nvidia, you should be buying here under 100. That's what I tell my people. If you have a full position, look for opportunities back under 90 because you're probably going to get them as this trade war unfolds and uncertainty about Nvidia's what kind of write down they're going to have to take. So definitely check out Semi-Analysis on this. He's got a full report there. Oh, and I just want to show you, he breaks down some of the numbers. So let's get into the flops here. So Nvidia GB2 right here in the center column, when you talk about performance. So petaflops, 180 petaflops. Remember a flop, floating point operations per second. Teraflops is all about, trillions, 12 zeros. Petaflops are quadrillions, so 15 zeros. And then when you get up to exaflops, you're talking, that's quintillion, that's 18 zeros on there. But supposedly, this is what the initial research is from Semi-Analysis, is that the Cloud Matrix 384 can produce 300 petaflops of performance, which would be approximately 1.7 times what NVIDIA is doing over here. We don't know all the details, and we don't know, really how fast it is, but this is the stuff that's going to be talked about. And my point is that I say that Huawei will find a way. That's all I'm saying, is that they're going to have, since they can't buy NVIDIA, they're going to have to build their own stuff, and they're going to figure it out, and they're not going to slow down. So is that a threat to NVIDIA? Not really. We can't sell to China anyway. So this is, this will be an internal powerhouse for China itself as they try to compete. All right, let me go back to my report and see if I had anything good for you in there. I talk about connectivity because this is an important thing. So the magic of silicon photonics. Jensen likes copper because copper is cheaper. And then short distances, copper is just fine for networking, because the GPUs have to talk to each other basically. So they have to be connected in the rack. Apparently, Huawei is using all fiber optics, 100%, which is interesting. So I talk a little bit about that in this report. And but what we saw at GTC was Jensen did introduce a new innovation that they have called silicon photonics. Because the issue is that if you use fiber, even though fiber is faster, you have to go from copper out of a GPU, convert it to fiber, and then convert it back to electrons, from optics to electrons for the copper input to the next GPU. So that can slow things down or it can be tricky, but Nvidia did invent a new networking connectivity for these racks that looks very promising, and he calls it silicon photonics. Our last thing in here is the Eric Schmidt decoupling and the rise of artificial superintelligence. Schmidt he's on a committee. What's the name of the committee he's on? He's chair of the Special Competitive Studies Project, which he just spoke before Congress on April 8th, a special committee on energy and commerce, talking about AI. And he's really trying to say most people have no idea what's coming and how disruptive it's going to be for jobs and national security. So I've got some quotes from him in here, and his timeline. So if you want to copy this report, just email me, kcook@zax.com, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, hope you enjoyed this week's top stock picks. For more goodies from Zax, we've got tons of free research for you. Just go to zax.com/promo and see what we're offering this week.